Books have been published in the weeks and months since September 11th. We've been profiling some of them here on the show. Tonight we take a look inside the pages of the September 11th Photo Project. To guide us through, editor Michael Feldschuh is here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate your time. Before we take a look inside the book, let's start first down in Soho. There was a gallery that was really the inspiration for this book. Tell us about the gallery.
Well, initially, in the weeks after the attacks, there were a number of spontaneous memorials that sprang up in New York City. I felt that there was really a need to have an open, indoor space that would preserve what people wanted to put up, and to create a forum for people around the country and hopefully around the world to be able to witness some of the pictures and notes that people were putting up in reaction to what had occurred.
So they're not necessarily professional photographers. These could have been the man or woman on the street.
It's really remarkable. We had photos given to us from people ranging from age 9 to 81. Some with the most casual connection to photography. Some people literally grabbed a camera from a street vendor and photographed what was going on, because what was occurring was so unbelievable. People felt the real need to put a camera in between themselves and the events that were unfolding.
How many people visited the gallery before it closed?
Well, the gallery was open in Soho for 12 weeks, and over 40,000 people from all over the world visited the gallery, as well as news organizations from countries around the world. It was really unprecedented. It was originally a empty gallery space, and volunteers came forward and renovated it with me for free, and it was an all-volunteer staff that facilitated putting up people's pictures and photos. What was remarkable about what was put in the gallery space is that the people chose what was put there. Mostly in museums or other such shows, a group of curators decides what's valuable or what's not. In this case, we wanted people to speak through their own words and pictures.
The collection then embarked on a nationwide tour. Where did it stop, and what was the reaction when it did?
Well, it's really amazing. What began as something that we thought would just serve our community in the weeks after the attacks became something that we felt the whole world should really see. The project just wrapped up being in Washington, D.C. for 6 weeks. We felt that it needed to go to Washington immediately as the first stop, because it too was a site of an attack. From there, it's going to open on April 26th in Sacramento, California, and from there continuing to L.A. with further dates to be announced.
And then the book. Whose idea was it to put this all in a book?
I'd love to say that it was mine, but it wasn't. An editor from a book company came forward and said, you know, this might make a wonderful book. And we thought so too. Volunteers came forward who were photo editors and other people from the industry, and we were very lucky to have HarperCollins and Judith Regan in particular take a great interest in making this book.
Okay, let's look inside the pages right now. There are several different themes. Our first picture deals with some of the local memorials around town. You see this is, if you could just take us through where these were shot. This says, obviously says Y, Hope, WTC, RIP. Those are actually candles.
Yeah, that was probably taken at Union Square, where literally tens of thousands of people gathered for nightly vigils. I don't know which photographer took this photo, but it's very striking because it really captures the essence of people's emotions at that day. And it's also emblematic of this project, because this is not just a book of photography, it's a book of people's photographs and their words together. So we don't have just pictures, let's say, of what happened that day. We have words, and in this case, a picture of words.
Moving on to our next photo. This is actually etched or scrawled in dust. This is a very common scene around the epicenter, as we called it back then. Several blocks covered with dust, obviously, and people were scrolling their own messages in the dust. You know where this one was taken?
I don't know exactly where.
The perspective is off, yeah.
Probably close to ground zero because of the thickness of the dust. You know, a lot of the people who took shots and contributed them to the project were rescue workers or ground zero workers, and they felt the need to document it. Obviously, someone wrote Local 79, so different workers would have recorded that they were there. This
is something interesting. These are pictures taken from around the country, people, I guess, commenting on in some various way what happened September 11th. Do you know exactly where these ones were taken? I forget the. Maryland, is that right?
Yeah, somebody took a car trip through the South, I think, and they sent us a collection of roadside photos of signs that they saw along the way. Things like Schumacher's Country Store, you can hide, but we will find you. I mean, these kinds of great differences between the sort of happy-go-lucky signs and then the really intense messages of anger and frustration. I think that it's and then this next picture that's
this one
here.
is interesting. Where is this from? Is it?
I think this one
Indiana,
is
I think?
Yeah, Indiana, exactly. It says "kill 'em" in Dixie cups that are put into a fence.
This is somebody's front yard?
Yeah, just somebody's front yard. They decided to put cups, and then one of our project participants, thought it was so striking. She took a picture of it and sent it in. We mounted it on the gallery walls, and we thought it was so remarkable, the brown house and the brown car, and then this really simple message.
Simple but powerful as well. A lot of these pictures are of people reacting who were downtown September 11th. You see some of them right there. Again, these are primarily amateur photographers. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah, they really are. As I said, many of these people have no real connection to photography as a hobby or a profession whatsoever. And that's what's all the more striking, because the pictures are so real. People just picked up a camera and photographed what they saw, and you can see from the picture that they're clipped to the walls. The picture actually is what the gallery walls look like. Those are clips, and that's how they were displayed in a very simple, direct fashion.
This one is we didn't want to show any pictures of the buildings burning. It's just, on this type of show, we like to just concentrate on the rebuilding process, not that day. But this one perhaps is the exception. If you look down at the bottom of your screen to our viewers, I hope you can make it out. There are actually people playing tennis at New York University on that rooftop while the towers are burning off in the distance. Do they know? Do you have any idea if these people knew what was going on?
I spoke to the photographer who took this picture, and she said to me that clearly the people who were playing had no idea what was going on. This picture actually was almost on the cover of the New York Times Magazine, I was told. For some reason they didn't run it. It was taken again by an amateur photographer. This woman lives in Bermuda. She happened to be on the terrace of her apartment that morning and took that photograph.
And we do have one more, an example of people who are mourning in the street, I suppose. There's a gentleman in the immediate aftermath who has fallen to the ground, his hands in his face. Michael Feldschuh, some of the proceeds from this book benefit who exactly?
Well, the proceeds of the book that go to the authors, in that case the September 11 Photo Project, benefit the project in its mission to show its photographs and text pieces around the country. And a portion of the proceeds will also go to the New York City Firefighters Burn Center Foundation of New York. One of the early co-founders of the project with me was a man by the name of Jim Murray. He's a New York City firefighter, and he led to the connection to the Burn Center Foundation. And we encourage all people to please give generously directly to the New York City Firefighters Burn Center Foundation.
And there's also a website for our viewers if they want to look at some of the other photos. You see there the address on your screen, www.sep11photo.org. Tell us a little bit about what's on this website.
Well, the website contains information on how people can participate. We're still collecting photographs. It's possible to mail them in to us or to drop it off wherever the project is located. It also contains some sample photographs from the book that you might not have seen, information on how to order the book directly from the project, and general information about how the project works.
Michael Feldschuh, the editor of the September 11th Photo Project, we thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it. 8:30.